Welcome to Synaesthesia. In this video I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to use some of the features for a short project. This is the start screen where you can choose or create a new production. I'm going to quickly create a new production called The Toilet Guy. To open the new production, I'll just click on this button. This is the production breakdown screen. Here are different tabs for the different elements of the production. These are all empty at the moment, but I'll add to them as I go along. The Details tab lets me set some basic information about the production, and along the side are a search box which will allow me to type in a term to search the entire project for, a notes box which will add a quick note to this production, which I can then click to view or add more information later, and a button to add file attachments. So I'm going to add a JPEG image to this production, and this will now become the thumbnail for this production, as you can see here. I can now start to add some other items to this production. So here, for example, I can quickly add a new set. I can do this for the characters, scenes and so on. But a much more efficient way is to import a screenplay. Here I have a Final Draft 8 screenplay, which I'm going to import. While that imports, Synaesthesia will also create the scenes, characters and sets that it finds in the screenplay. So I can see that it has imported 11 pages of text, and I can open a page view to see the entire screenplay. As I later make any changes to the scenes, the screenplay here will be updated automatically. Looking at some of the other tabs now, I can see that it has created some sets, several characters and the 13 scenes from the screenplay. The next thing I'll want to do is add information to the newly imported items. I can click on one of the sets and now I'm in the set breakdown. To start with, I'll attach some concept artwork I have for this set. This time, I'm just going to drag the image across from the Finder onto the breakdown window. Again, it will automatically set the image as the thumbnail for that set. I can click on the attachment to open a window with more information, such as the location of the file on the disk, and I can use Quick Look on it, reveal it in the Finder or save a copy elsewhere. I can now enter a location for this set. I can fill in the address in the usual way, but in this case I'll just use the search function to find and set the address for me. The Scenes tab shows me which scenes use this particular set, and I can jump to the scene breakdown by clicking on one of them. As with all the other breakdowns, there are several tabs along the top. In the Screenplay tab I can edit the text for this scene, and any changes I make here will be updated in the page view we saw earlier. By going into the Characters tab, I can see which characters were automatically linked to this scene when I imported the screenplay. I'm just going to add another character that wasn't included in the screenplay for this scene, but will be present in the background. Next I can add a shot to this scene. I'll add an establishing shot and now go to the shot breakdown. This has a lot of switches that I can turn on or off to provide more information about the shot. If this shot is part of a montage, I can just click on this button. I can also change the scene the shot belongs to, or I can click on the labels at the side to go back to the scene or production breakdowns. Throughout Synaesthesia, you'll see these information buttons. Clicking on them will bring up windows with summaries about that item. Here's the information for the scene. And here's the information for the shot I'm looking at. Another feature that's really useful for helping to organise everything is to add tags. Synaesthesia will automatically add its own tags based on information you provide. So for example, if I set this shot to have wild sound, it will automatically add a wild tag to this shot. Of course, you can also add your own tags. So I can go ahead and add a multicam tag to indicate to myself that this will use multiple cameras. Now if I go back to the scene, I can use the film strip buttons along the bottom to switch between other scenes. Here you'll see some of the scenes are using the image from the set, but I can add some concept art for this particular scene, and it will now use that particular image for that scene instead of the generic set image. This approach will let you navigate through the scenes in a much more visual way. Back to the production breakdown. Along the top here are some other buttons. The one I want to show now is the scratch pad. The scratch pad is a special type of note that I can access from any breakdown at any time and in any production, so I can type notes to myself that are not really specific to any particular item or production. There's also a special shooting mode that allows you to capture information in a streamlined way during a shoot, which will get covered in a separate video. Also along the top here is the Asset Manager. This window lets you organise all the physical assets used in your productions, and they are shared between all the productions. There are a few different categories: contacts, recorders, which includes cameras, props, costumes, vehicles, lenses, and you can also add your own types. So I'll just quickly add a pet that I'm going to need on one of my productions. Once I've created the assets here, I can go into one of the breakdowns and add that asset. So here for this shot, I know I'm going to need the red camera. So I'll go into the Assets tab and add the camera from the Asset Manager. You can do this with any type of asset. Synaesthesia works very well with digital footage. Each digital media file is referred to as a clip, and they can be added to the database just like anything else. Here are two clips that I added to the database earlier, and I'm going to go into the clip breakdown for this one. This clip is linked to take 7A take 1, and what I'll do now is link this to the actual media file on the disk. To do this, I'll just drag the file onto the clip breakdown, and Synaesthesia will ask me if I want to link the file. I do, so I'll click yes, and then it will pull through the metadata from the file. It saves the technical information as a note which you can refer to later, and it also saves the location of the file on the disk as well as some other information. I can now go to the reel breakdown for these clips. A reel can be a reel of film or something like a tape or memory card. I can set where the reel is physically located, and I can check it out to a specific contact to keep a record of someone taking it away. The last thing I want to show is the sequence breakdown. So a sequence is a collection of clips. This could be a trailer, a rough or final cut, or just a sequence of shots for viewing. There are a few ways to get sequences into Synaesthesia. For instance, you can import an EDL from an editing system, but here I'll just create one from scratch. Here in the sequence breakdown, I'm going to go to the storyboard tab and just add those two clips we just looked at. Now I can export this sequence to an EDL, which I can then give to my editor along with the footage. So that's a quick overview of Synaesthesia and some of the things it can do. Check out the other videos for more in-depth at other topics, and thanks for watching.